it was 1,000, 1,500 was what we had originally wanted to put together. It went into that specific fund because that's clearly where it goes. But I specifically asked for $3,000 for the carriage rides to go in the appropriation budget in last year.
And I do remember being on finance when the block party that was had, it was last year because of COVID.
Right.
I believe MI had given some money to make that happen. And I do remember discussion in a finance committee of, MI's not going to give that money anymore, obviously, because they're going to be done. Do we want to put that in for another block party or to make this a reoccurring event? So that would explain the other $1,000 if it's in tech.
Yes, and to further into that, this came up for a different reason. I have had a discussion with NPCA in regards to funding, and if they do put a request in for the money, it is going to be for the block party, for outside of the 3,000 that I approved for, specifically for the carriage rides.
And there was some confusion on that. A person who got a little nervous didn't think they had the funds to do more stuff for the thing, and they got a little nervous.
Right, but we are not doing family fun night. We are not contributing towards family fun night if we do.
But when I, with my idea of putting the money in, my vision of putting the money in was for the small residents, not the NPCA. With a resident who wanted to do a little something in the community and would ask us for a little money for a month. I was talking about $100 here, $200 there. That was my idea. Let's say they wanted to, communicate with posters. Maybe they wanted to have some free little handout. And it was something that the mayor felt I always assumed it would be the mayor's decision. The mayor, because it's a small sums of money, would say, okay, this looks like it would be something the community would enjoy, or your block would enjoy, or your street would enjoy. So, we'll go ahead and allow you that money. That's all I had. The carriage rides was.
That was me. I mean,
And the NPCA. Just to say, and the NPCA thing was not on my mind at all.
and I have not approved anything additional.
You keep saying, all right, I can't. You keep saying that you keep approving. The only thing.
She said she thought that we would approve, that the admin would approve the $1,000. I just said that was her thoughts to how it was, and I'm saying I have not done that with $1,000. I've not done anything with that $1,000.
What I'm trying to understand is why you think you can approve. What you're allowed to do is approve the spending. That's why I asked, Kim, have you spent the money yet, Kim?
It is not.
Okay, so this is what you're allowed to do, is to approve the spending. The money hasn't been spent yet, and there is nothing in the paperwork that says it's been set aside specifically for carriage rides. Right now, this is what we're probably going to have to get the bond director involved in, because you want to be so stubborn and not allow council to talk about this, because this is how we end this conversation, is just say, hey, let council talk about this and we'll decide instead of you deciding. Because that's exactly what's happening here, is you've decided that you want to spend money on something and haven't had a conversation with council about it. So what I'd like to ask our financial people is that right now, that money has not been spent, so it can be spent on any community activity the council would like to fund.
Actually,
It could, but we did, in the fall, it was discussed at the finance committee when we were going to the budget.
I understand. We can, and I think in those, where you had referenced carriage rides, was you said that there's $4,000 set aside, and we could use it for community activities, and we could use it for things like carriage rides, which is completely accurate. The difference is that no one has decided how, council, better yet, has not decided how we want to spend the money for.
Let me ask one clarifying question. Right. These funds have been appropriated. That's my question. Yes.
Council already appropriated.
They have been appropriated, which means that as they have been appropriated for community use or community activities, it is then, the council's say on what they can be used for was determined when we said community activities. So if you want it more granularly defined than community activities, that's a whole nother conversation. Okay, now, what I will say is that we can put a pin in this now, because we're not gonna solve anything here, right? We're really just flapping gums and all that, right? But we can afford ourselves 30 minutes on this at the next work session, just to review it. But again, right, these funds are appropriated, right? So as it stands right now, the mayor has expressed that her intention is to use $3,000, which is the most that the mayor can spend without, special dispensation from council to spend out of appropriated funds. She is completely within her rights to do that, unless we come in and disappropriate the funds, which could be done, right? But, right, or pass some sort of resolution that more granularly defines what is community activity. And I would like us to table this from here forward until we have that discussion in a work session.
Can David at least make his comment, just because he is not, and then we will.
Yeah, that's fine, go ahead.
So, my question would be, first off, I really do, I love the idea of having a small fund of money that, residents and ask, for events that benefit the community. I absolutely love that. My only issue would be funding things that would be exclusive to certain groups. With the FPCA, I love the FPCA, but funding for a group or an event that would not be open to all residents of the village, I would see being an issue. So I don't know if that was something we thought out. Again, I love the idea.
And that can be part of that discussion, right? Because basically what you're saying is that would be part of the defining of community events.
Yes, that it can't be only for, Howard Lane, or it can't only be FPCA, or only for the people around the Southwest.
But it is for the community, it is for anybody who become a member of NPCA as long as they live in the village.
And yeah, by all means, they can have on the table and, encourage people too.
Eric, did you?
I have a small matter of process. So Kim, anything that's appropriated, for council and for the public to understand, anything that council has already appropriated into a particular fund, the mayor then has the authority to approve a KEO up to a certain amount for that particular subject matter, correct? So.
Is that number $3,000? That's.
It's never been well.
That's always been indeterminate.
And it's,
That number gets floated around a lot, but we can't actually find where that.
It's pretty different. We brought it.
the Minerva Park de facto rule, right?
Well, I will tell
I
you.
said it enough that if we, and in public sessions, that if the mayor went and spent more than that and we wanted to take legal action, there'd be enough
Right.
precedent in these kinds of conversations that we can.
At one point, I found an email that they were trying to change it to $5,000.
You agreed to it.
And they never did. I never saw it through.
I've never heard of anyone being turned down for the carriage ride,
Right.
but it's not specifically known that in any way that that's like only a MPCA.
Oh, yes, it is.
I know that they do that,
They take reservations.
but the
and they
village
check.
always is kind of considered it a village thing.
Well, it's always.
And I don't mean by the government.
And the thing is, of course, it is very expensive, and it's why I believe the MPCA is asking for help with it, it's very expensive.
And it's one of the best events we put on.
It's like the pool. The pool can't exist without people buying memberships, and it can't exist without tax.
A lot of people miss that.
Okay.
A lot of people miss that event last year.
We're at 7:40. This meeting is usually, take more than.
I still got one more thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I was just gonna say,
I
that's
wasn't
10 minutes.
Yeah, that's enough on that, but yeah, glad you have something new.
Yeah,
I would just like to say, when we're talking about the work session, this is an excellent subject that isn't all an argument. We can throw out your subject, what other kind of things that we can do. to this fund or fund line to, you know.
Or another fund.
Benefit, whatever.
Or we could add another fund that's strictly for us to use.
What point is there to have a government if not to benefit the citizens we represent?
Okay, go ahead, next.
My question's about the license plate readers. You said that you have an update for us on where we're at.
I'll give you a real quick rundowns of these different things I posted on the website. Some of the, but first I'll clear up a couple things. Maybe we'll start with that. It takes about 5 to 7 seconds to transmit from the device to one of the cruisers. The police department is the only people that have access to this. Council does not have access to them, nor do I have no access to it. So that's the easiest way to say it. The police department is the only one that has access to it. Anybody that wants this, they are more than welcome to reach out to me as far as the privacy statement, how they protect your privacy and everything. I don't think we really want to read all of that because it's on the website. It is everywhere. As far as opting out, the quick verification of the opting out, number one, your license tag is going to be, the photo is going to be taken. A resident could bring in, if we wanted to allow residents to come in and opt out, they could do that. But it's still, let me actually read it the way that they have it.
Well, here's my question, is that if you look on the website, law safety, it says there's an opt-out program.
There is an opt-out program.
Okay, so when are we going to start working on putting together the?
It is not advised. It is not advised from them. We do not have to offer that.
Okay, all right, so now we're getting somewhere. So we're not going to.
No, nobody said that. Nobody said that.
So Tony, this is,
This is the
if
safety
I
committee.
may, hold on, if I may, that opt-out program would, the discussion of that should probably start in the safety committee,
Yes.
right? The whole program started in the safety committee meeting, right? So you are the chair of the safety committee meeting, call a meeting, discuss whether or not that committee believes that that's something that should be advised or planned for, and then bring that to the general council group. And then we can pass a resolution saying, we as council resolve that such a thing will happen.
Nobody's against that.
And that's the process we're doing.
I got it, okay. But see, I'm just not, you guys act like, all right, I'm just not getting the information. that-
No, it's fine.
Okay, so my next question is, and this was brought up at the safety committee meeting, is what are going to be the legal, the public record request ramifications of this?
You can't request public records. It can only be pulled up in the event of a crime.
No, it can't. Okay, see that what you keep talking about. Okay, I guess this is
This is what's,
information that I need to know in order to have an intelligent conversation about how and whether we want to allow people to access this information. Because if we do, there's going to be public records requests. We're going to have to, it opens up a whole new, and that's what I would like to have our law director start looking into this. And
As I recall, it was explained to us in the safety committee meeting, right? Because I was still the safety chair when this was first brought up, right? It only would become a public record when we get a notice, right? So until the moment that we get a notice, it's just a camera in a public space, because there is no expectation for privacy in the public. Anything I can see in the street, I can photograph all I like and do whatever I like with that picture. So there is a camera that is in public space that is taking those pictures, right? It's processing that image, checking license plates. To my understanding, it is looking for open warrants for people who are associated with that vehicle and maybe no stolen vehicles. That is what I recall it's looking for.
okay,
But hold on, I'm not done.
okay, sorry.
Right? When that hits, and our officers within 5 to 7 seconds get a notice, that notice would be the first public record created, right? So a reasonable public records request would be, please tell us all the hits you've gotten, all of the notices you've gotten. Now, it was also explained to us that our police could go and query that system for certain parameters. If our police went in and queried that system, that query would also create a public record. Their action in that system, so it would be a reasonable public request for someone to come and say, please tell me all the queries you've made within that flock system. That is also public information, public, as I understand. I, of course, am not a lawyer, and we can certainly ask our legal counsel to opine, but that is my understanding.
Well, you were the one that asked the question, I think, that's why.
Because I, of course, asked about public records, because I also am concerned.
And this right now is the first time I've heard anybody try to attempt to just explain how that works.
I would only correct that because I'm certain you were in the meeting that I got that same information.
So,
But,
You talking about years ago?
no, when I was safety director and you were on the safety committee last year, like at the beginning of this year.
Oh, you're right, I must have been daydreaming.
so the big misconception is this is not a live stream by any stretch of any imagination. There is not a computer set up downstairs that we can just walk out. I know, I want to make sure other people know this, because that was a big question. There is not, also one of the other questions, there is not one at every entrance. So if you are that freaked out about it, drive around. That's not very nice to say, but there, it's only getting you going in one way. If you don't have a front license plate, it's only getting you one way or the other. So we're going to try it, just like we had talked about in the safety committee. We have a 1-year contract. If it doesn't work out, we don't feel like we're getting what we need to. It can definitely make our lives easier when we have hit skips, and just, we've had 2 in the last week. One of which was other. So they can actually take color, of a car and go try to find it. Had we had more cameras, we would be more successful. Obviously, we have 2 in 2 different locations, so it's not as easy to catch a hit skip when they go out one of the other 6 entrances. So these cameras are not monitored. There is no live stream. There is a lot of misconception. I understand people are disappointed, and there are a couple people that are disappointed. I will tell you, there's just as many that have. I have a request from numerous people that would love to just relocate it to Jordan Road and be fine with it. And I'm sure there's somebody on Jordan Road that does not want it. So, but I can tell you, the majority of the people that have stopped me is, when are we getting ours? So that's that. I mean, we're going to try it out for a year. If it doesn't work out, and we don't really see any benefit to it, then we won't renew it. I mean, it's something that, we can bring this back up to discussion. At this point in time, I see no reason we would remove them. Somebody gives me a different reason, guess we would talk about it. That's something that, as far as the opt-out, I'm going to read this just so people are aware that this is something that can potentially happen. If you register your license plate as a resident, which can be filtered out of the search, that can be filtered out of searches made, but the plate itself is not deleted from the system. So that's your opt-out. So you can eliminate your tag from coming up into a search, but it's not going to stop the photo. Like, it's still going to be in the system, but it would come up and say basically like a resident.
I would just say that the website, their website does not describe it that way.
Okay, well, this is from law.
Well, but that is described 2 different ways.
Yes, there is another option, but the big drawback is you can also take it a step further, and you can set a plate to auto-delete upon scanning. However, if your vehicle is stolen in a crime or anything of that sort, it is not going to capture any of the evidence. So, and for anybody that is not aware, we have had stolen vehicles in the village very recently. Very recently. So, that's that. And if somebody is driving through here with your stolen vehicle, we're not going to find it. So there's benefits, there's negatives, there's positives, there's everything. I totally understand security, safety, and all of the above. For me, it is always about safety. For me, everybody knows that. So if this is one more tool that our police department can use to find a stolen vehicle or find a wanted criminal or anything along those lines, I am all for it. For a public record, I'm of the mindset that I would give up a little bit of my privacy for somebody else's safety.
Well, I think that, okay. So I do want to say though that it's not going to stop a crime, because it's just going to collect information so that when a crime does occur, it can be researched, and the perpetrator is a higher probability than that they can be found.
Right.
But when you say safety, that's a little gray area
Absolutely.
with this tool.
And other places have been successful, and maybe that's where I get my information. So you can actually Google other places that have been successful. Mentor Ohio is actually one of them that uses them, and there's a couple articles that I was able to find that there. Now, of course, they have 15 cameras. but they have been successful in recovering stolen cars and doing a couple of those things. So, it's just like everything. We'll do it for a year, see how it works out, and if it's something that, we start getting a lot of pushback or we just don't feel it's worth the money, then obviously council can just say, we don't want to fund it again. And I would be completely on board. If it's a waste of money, then I don't have any interest in throwing it out either.
One size does not fit all.
Correct. Absolutely. And this is one of those that we've had a lot of requests for. How can we make our area, what are some additional tools that we could use? This is an additional tool, may work, it may not.
So as I understand that the cameras collect basically that the license plates, and then it can be queried if that's in the location of some triggering incident.
Well, it
Or
also,
police investigation.
it also actively is looking for hits on warrants or known stolen vehicles.
Right.
So I drive by-
That would be my next question. It interfaces with some sort of national or.
Yeah, some sort of database, yeah. So I drive by in my white minivan, and it takes a stop, my ESY 5150, and it says, oh, let's look that one up. And it looks it up and says that guy is wanted in Oklahoma, and sends a message off to Chief Dill. Oh, you don't have Oklahoma. I didn't
All right, so that's my 2 cents on that. We can definitely take this back to the safety committee. I have no issue, problem, concern with that. This is something that, again, I am, if we want to do an opt-out system, I think that needs to come from the safety committee and bring it. I see the benefits of, I see it being a headache of people coming in and doing it for our admin, but I'm totally on board if people feel that is their safe, if they feel that they would like to do that, I'm more than willing to do what you guys want to do. Obviously. Yeah. And it's fair, people have asked, so it's fair.
Hold on a second.
Yeah,
Almost
we're-
You'll have to just wait for citizen comments.
Do we have any more new business? We better not, okay. We normally have a citizen comment on there, so the next time you come, we will have that fixed. Citizen comment.
I just would like to make a request to the safety committee as well, just some clarification information, I think, for the public as well.
Hold on. Sorry, it's been a long time since we've had these meetings, so the
Yeah.
protocol for citizens
Are you in
comment
agreement?
would be to give us your name,
Okay.
your address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry,
And
I
the official podium
failed.
as well.
We're out of.
We're out.
We're a little out of practice.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we wrote those rules.
Yeah.
So my name's Eric Elmley, I live at 3137 Minerva Lake Road. And was that all the information I need to give?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
So my request for the safety committee is to also investigate or review and be able to provide to the council and the public as well as to what exactly is queried in the database as far as there's all this general talk about warrant or misdemeanors. There's not really any clear indication as far as like what database is being queried and what that database houses. Are bench warrants things that are concerned in there? I know for me personally, that's my biggest concern is this something that a citizen is going to have to basically vet their friends who are coming over for a barbecue, like, hey, did you miss your child support payment next week? Is the murder department going to be coming to my door because they got a pain that somebody is here with an outstanding warrant that's go by this license plate scanner. So that's my other request from the state committee to get some clarification as far as what is in the scope of these or these hits that make sense to the police department.
I appreciate it. I was thinking about a friend that maybe, driving a stolen car or.
Well, if they're driving a stolen car, it's already.
I'm just, I'm talking about my friend.
Thank you.
I guess I should put that on there. No, that is a very good question, and I wish I did know the answer to that one, and I should know.
Well, no, I think that you should not, and that's like doing background checks. When someone says they're doing a background check, that's not enough information.
Sure.
There's
no
there are, you buy the different databases that you want to search in, local or this or that, and there's states, there's counties, so what databases are being dipped?
I think if I recall
terms of
reading the
these services.
website, that it mentions the name, or it mentions where the information is saved.
They talk about the NCIC, which I believe is National Criminal,
Yeah.
whatever this is.
There was one, because I mean, there's different.
It wasn't very clear as far as what the terms are.
It would be nice to know, because I'm sure it should be specific to our area.
Officer may utilize the NCIC based data provided via notification from Block Safety web portal to initiate an investigation into a possible crime, traffic-related violation. Officers should attempt to verify said data based on their own observations when feasible. It doesn't go through.
I guess I would feel more comfortable knowing that we're not gonna be, beating down people's doors at a barbecue because your buddy had a speeding ticket and,
Again, my guess is even if it deems them, it's gonna tell them what it's being deemed for, and I'm gonna tell you, most of the officers are probably not gonna go over there if you go back child support. So, but I don't know, but it's,
for things that you have warned, it wouldn't be for.
Well, hold on. A, we probably shouldn't use the word ding, right? Because that has a negative connotation. So they are alerted,
alerted.
right?
Okay.
Alert is not necessarily negative. So we should control our language. Secondly, we don't actually know, anybody in this room, I'm sure, doesn't actually know what information they're given. Simply that they are alerted. However, there are two things that I would add. A, you are the mayor, you get to control the policies of our police department largely. So you can set a policy for our police department that says, violent offenders only, right? So if they get that information in the alert, that is a nonviolent crime, we're not gonna go lights and sirens after a child support payment or a bench warrant for the speeding ticket I didn't pay in New Jersey in 1993, right? That's not,
It's so irresponsible.
For the record, I've never been to Oklahoma and I have paid up with New Jersey. These are all, off the cuff examples.
All criminals.
We'll talk later.
Yeah. Right, like, that is a policy that can be set. It should also go back to the safety committee.
I think the better way to try it, we need to come up with an overall policy for this camera.
So just so you know, and I'm not gonna read it to you because I believe it's the police department's policy and safety they will, but I will already tell you, there's already a policy that has been established for that in the police department.
There you go.
So, now, maybe there's recommendations of adding, but I will tell you that, Chief does not play games. I already have it.
Yeah, no,
Well, then why don't you start sharing this stuff?
No, I'm just, because again, this is not like, people want to know if it's being monitored, people want to know that has nothing to do with the police department.
Well, if
Policy.
you've got information that,
I've only had it for hours. Come on, we've had the system for like 3 days, the officers are not all, even all trained on it.
Can I just say, I think there's probably visitor. I really had imagined them being a lot cuter when they.
I agree. Did you have, if you are the only one here, so did you have any other questions?
Oh, thank you.
I just want to say that all criminal statutes are written and enforced by the state of Ohio, and there's not a whole lot of our purveyance on that. We may want to look at some of this in the work session, what the houses are on another.
Okay, move to adjourn.
All right.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstained?
Abstained.
Hey, we'll say that.
Oh, well, you don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here.
Well,